Hey, we have a very special guest today. We're going to get into a lot of conversations. There's probably not a better person to get into the weeds with. Right? We're going to talk about redistricting. We're going to talk about property taxes. We're going to talk about everything. And from what I've been told, this guy will tell it exactly the way it is.
Well, that's 100% a fact. So
he's been the chairman of Johnson County Board of Commissioners the whole time. He's been a secretary, the vice president, the president. Even now, he's part of the past Indiana County Commissioners Association, a board member of the Associated Indiana County, and the Commissioner of the Year for 2025.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I mean, who else better than to answer any of these questions than Brian Baird? Welcome to Those AshHoles.
I appreciate it. Appreciate being here. Love your show, by the way. As far as me being the person, I don't know about that.
Yeah. You're not going to take the blame or the credit, are you?
No, I'm not. But, I will tell you what I think the truth is.
Awesome. Well, right off the top, I have to ask. I've seen that last name a lot in the past 2 months, 3 months. Any relation to the guy that's going to be running for Congress, I believe.
Running for re-election.
Yeah, running for re-election.
He's a cousin.
Okay. Close cousin? Like grew up together type cousins?
Fourth cousin.
Okay.
Fourth cousin.
Know him, met him, don't really know a whole lot about him. The one that will shock you is I'm also cousins to Roderick Bray.
The guy that told
Bray.
Governor Braun,
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's your cousin too?
That's a cousin.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're in for a treat.
So what? Third, fourth, second?
He's a fourth cousin.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's they're all distant and didn't really grow up with them. Don't really, other than watching their politics. But
We don't send Christmas cards or anything like
Well,
that.
No.
I imagine, especially with Roderick Bray, being the Senate Pro Tem, you being the president of the Indiana County Commissioners Association, you've had meetings with him at least last year during the property tax I call debacle.
We're gonna get into that one.
Yeah,
and that's a good one to get into if you want controversy. So that's,
I mean, I don't know what's controversial
That's not true.
about trying to get rid of property taxes.
Yeah.
So here's where I come from,
It is
and I
controversial.
hope you're here to educate me. 100%. I'm here to learn. I will ask all the questions I can.
Right.
But before you showed up, we were having this conversation, and I said I have a real problem with somebody. So my mom came here from Cuba. She's legal. She's a naturalized citizen. Her son's a veteran. He's involved in freedom and everything else.
He's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
But there's coming the day where she's on fixed income. And she moved out to Westfield in 2006. And, well, her house is worth a hell of a lot more now than it was in 2006.
yes, it is.
So what happens the day that my mom just can't afford her property taxes? And if I have to pay property taxes to keep a house that I've already paid off, then do I even really own it?
No, you'll never own it.
You never own anything if you're paying taxes on them.
You do not.
So was there zero chance this was going to pass?
I think there's opportunity here to do something that's beneficial to a lot of people without cutting local government's throats.
So I have a great relationship with a lot of different politicians, and I was out with Chris Jensen, mayor of Noblesville, and he says to me, Jerry, what you guys don't understand is the money that you're trying to cut is already allocated to future projects.
And that's probably true in some cases. Not in Johnson County. That's not true. We're very fiscally sound, and we have been. I've been in a meeting with Governor Braun. We talked about Johnson County as one of those that has done it right over the years, and will continue to do it right. Me personally, I haven't had anyone at all ever complain to me about property taxes. Now, I can't tell you why I've never had anybody complain. I'm probably the only one that complains about property taxes in the county right now. Property taxes are what local government is based upon as far as our financial ability to stabilize. That has gotten out of control. And I've been the first one to admit it. I don't stand away from it. I don't shy from it. We can run government much more effectively and efficiently than we do. A lot of government entities just don't want to try. They're too used to getting what they have. They want to continue to get what they have. And that's just the way it is. Doesn't mean that they're doing anything wrong. Governor Braun talked about the shiny objects, and I would probably have to agree there are some probably out there, but few and far between. Where we need to be more effective and efficient is how we run our services. But you have to understand that in Johnson County anyway, approximately 78% of your property taxes go to the schools. We can't control that. We have no control over that.
You have no control over how they spend that.
We do not.
Yeah.
Is there a flat percentage off the top? So going in, you're like 80% they get. Doesn't matter. We got to figure out the last 20.
They're going to get 78% of our property, our overall property taxes, and that's on the average. And you'll see different figures in different ways. Your libraries and things get a chunk out of that. And here's and if I don't know how long this lasts, but if we got a minute, let me.
No. Hey, we're not
here
pressed
for the
at all.
duration. Go deep.
Yeah.
Go deep.
I'll explain to you the same thing I explained to Governor Braun in a meeting that we had with him. I actually physically brought my property taxes in.
Your personal ones.
My personal property taxes,
Okay.
and gave them to Governor Braun to look at, and then explained to him on those property taxes the taxes that came out of there. So if you look at the property taxes, my property taxes on my property that I live in, and I own some other ground and things like that. I don't own any other homes or anything like that. I do own farm property. But $7,300 a year approximately is what those taxes were. By the time everybody gets their cut of those property taxes, Johnson County, unincorporated Johnson County, out of that $7,300
That you preside over as commissioner.
gets approximately $612
So they get
of those
nothing.
property taxes.
They get nothing. So the county is really not getting anything.
Libraries, cities and towns.
You
schools,
said 78% go to schools. Is that correct?
approximately.
Approximately. And then you got judicial on top of that.
Out of that money that we get, that leftover amount, approximately 58% goes to our judicial system.
So now we're talking about 22% of the remaining 28% because the rest is going to schools.
Right. And all that we have to use to provide services for all the cities and towns,
Right.
for everybody else. Unincorporated, incorporated, doesn't matter. Johnson County government has to fund all those.
There's a few things you've touched on I want to point out, and so we can put a pin in them and get into it. But a couple of things we talked about. Property tax really wasn't that big of an issue after, in my opinion, and I really want to hear your opinion on it. When former Governor Mitch Daniels changed to the 3%, 2%, and 1%, 1% homestead, 2% residential rental properties, and then 3% for anything commercial. And it seemed to work for a few years until we had some mayors that wanted more money. They couldn't get any more tax, so they just started having everything reassessed through the roof. Yeah. The value on properties that, if you use a round arbitrary number, if this house is worth $250,000, they're having it reassessed at $500,000. Then they can't get an appraisal to match it. They're having trouble getting and it's just turned into, because you got some greedy, lazy ass mayors that did this. That really, I mean, I'll put a pin in that one and just stop there.
No. Hey, stay on there because it goes back to the conversation. That's what my mom's going to retire and she's being taxed on unrealized gains, which are based off the new assessor you just talked about, who shows up and goes, hell, 31 and 32 and Grand Park and all this wasn't here.
Yep.
Your house is now worth $95,000 more. Yeah. So guess what, little abuela? Your taxes go from $5,200 to $9,700 a year.
Well,
my mom is going to be taxed out of living in a neighborhood that she is bought into.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. I want to put a pin in. I want to stop myself there and let you
how do we fix
that?
Yeah. So this is my concern. My concern is for people on fixed income. I don't think it is fucking right in the United States of America to take the home of some person who's worked their whole life, who's paid off their mortgage, who's done what we've told them to do. Pay your bill when it shows up. Now I own the house. And you're going to keep taxing me and taxing me and taxing me and taxing me. And I'm on a fixed income. Or if I'm a disabled vet, same deal on a fixed income. Those are the people I'm worried about. The rest of us, we're all men. You have to figure it out. Does it suck? Yes. Sometimes life's not fair. But for those people, what is the solution for them?
Everybody's going to have a different opinion. I can tell you right now, I've got a different opinion than the other two commissioners in Johnson County on how we can help fix this.
But nobody is going, well, she should just lose her house. Everybody agrees that's wrong.
It is wrong. And I will tell you right now, I'm a 66-year-old man. I'll be 67 here in less than a month. I own my own home, and I don't think I should be able to or have to rent that from the government. It's not there.
Because you're encroaching on what I'm just talking about now. You'll be on fixed income, and what happens when Johnson County sees some big boom, and all of a sudden your property taxes double? It's like now they're $14,000. I don't have that,
and that's what has to be fixed. We're not going to, and I'll be real honest with you. For local government to survive, you're not going to get rid of property taxes unless the state can come up with a different formula to base their giving to counties what they need to survive. And can we survive on yes? Yes, we can. And we always can survive on less. We can always figure that out. But give us the opportunity to figure that out. Let us tell you what we need to survive, and then you check those facts and make sure that what we're telling you is true.
Was that lit? But was that lit? Like, we're going to lower property taxes, but we'll let you run away with lit.
And they don't.
And for those of you that don't know, lit, local income tax. So Carmel can say we're going to lower property taxes. We're going to raise your lit, so you're still gonna pay more in taxes, but at least this way,
they're just taking it out of a different pocket.
That's it. They're going to have their money regardless.
They're capping your lit also in local government.
As they
we're
should.
capped at the 1.2, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it's going to take a lot of figures, a lot of things. The AIC is doing a really good job right now of putting out figures and letting us know where the counties are going to stand.
Can I ask you a question? What is the point of going out and assessing new property values? Because really, to me, the value is what somebody's willing to pay for it. And if the house isn't being sold, then we don't know what somebody's trying to pay for it yet. So how do we assess the value of the house before that? My mom's made no changes to her house. It's gone up $70,000.
Well, mine went up $209,000.
You've made no changes
in 1 year.
No changes.
Nothing.
All right. So how the hell does that happen? And that's the issue, because now you're being taxed on that.
Yeah, we can blame that, and a lot of people will blame that on your assessors. It's the ability that they're given to assess in the way that they assess, and they're going to assess and get everything they can get.
The assessors.
The county assessors.
Let me talk to the assessor.
I'm just saying, if I want to be a conspiracy theorist, could I say if I was the county and I needed more money, I would send the assessor to go out, reassess everybody's houses, which raises property taxes.
Or mayor.
Which brings in more value. You got to pay more taxes.
But
is that conspiracy theorist?
It somewhat, but there is some truth to that. We don't have any control over the county. It's an elected position, just like.
Well, let me speak to that. It's an elected position, oftentimes won by somebody who has no idea how to do that job, but won a popularity contest and wanted to be an elected official.
You're telling me the assessor is an elected position?
Yeah.
I voted, and I don't remember
Each
any
county
assessor I've ever voted for in my life, dude.
Each county is an elected assessor, and that individual may or may not know anything about real estate, anything. And let's face it, they're not going out and looking at each and every.
Right.
So they just throw a high number on it, and then it's up to you to appeal it, come to them, and pitch your case. So you're literally you are 100% guilty until proven innocent on your property taxes. It's insane. And then you get into the fact, who's to say what's worth what? Are you being taxed on the land, or are you being taxed on the structure? A little bit of both. Because I knew a guy.
What am I being taxed on at all? I haven't sold a damn thing.
Well, I know a guy that had a.
That's my issue, right? Listen, you're a good-looking dude. I'm a good-looking dude. You're a good-looking dude. But the market will tell us what we're worth.
Yes.
We can walk around here and say we're 10s. My mom's house is not a 10, but you're taxing her like it's a 10.
I know a guy who had a commercial property. He had a business on it. He retired. He's done. But he was going to sit on that property. He wasn't going to sell that property until because it was in a really prime location that was growing. He knew it was going to be worth more in the future. It's an investment.
Smart play.
It became Then he gets it reassessed, and they threw some ridiculous, and it's commercial, so 3%, some ridiculous number on it, and they were like, "Well, this structure." You know what he did? Long story. He dozed the fucking property. He dozed it, leveled it, and said, "Now what's it worth?"
I'm just paying on land
because he just wanted land.
See,
and it went way down. But so you're paying on a house. And I want to tell you, you didn't do anything different to your house. I'm sure your house is a great shit. Your mother didn't do anything.
No.
So what exactly? They don't know what the hell they're assessing on. How do you know what this house is?
It's based on assumption, right? Grand Park's here. We're going to have more people. Meridian 32's built up. There's more. It's crazy.
It's not an estimation. It's a guesstimation.
100%. And the fact that I can argue it lets me know it's a guesstimation.
And there's truth to that. And there's programs that will figure this for assessors. There's all kinds of things that go into that we as a normal person don't see. And I get all that. Where we need to start with, and I'm just, bear with me.
Yeah, we're with you.
Where we need to start is we need to figure where we want to be on assessment values and make that consistent so people can budget for what their taxes are going to be every year, year in, year out.
How often can you be assessed?
Every year.
That sucks.
Every year.
So it can go up every year.
Yeah.
Does it ever go down? Have you ever seen it go down?
Only when I appeal.
So other than that,
The
your
individual
property
has to appeal to
your
get it down.
property is always going to be worth more the next year, no matter what.
Yes.
At least on the.
I've never seen it go down in the history of.
Okay, so your taxes only going up.
Not on its own, anyway.
No, not
No,
without.
no.
My wife, God bless her, she appeals every year.
Yeah.
She should.
But she shouldn't have to.
Yes.
And that's my point. And and I've had these discussions with a lot of people. Here's kind of a plan. And you know, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I can't tell you that every plan's going to work. It's not going to work. But I know there's a better way. I say we go back to, and I don't care if we go back to 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. Or
What was the proposal in SB1? Was it 2021 or 2020? Somewhere one of those.
Prior to 2021.
Yeah.
I think 2020. But you've got to go back a little farther than that because it went crazy, you know, from those years.
Yep.
But what we also have to remember in there is in 2015 or 2016 somewhere, and I can't tell you the exact date because I'm not a realtor, somewhere in that date, you had to start recording and disclosing what you paid for that home or how much that home cost you to build. In my case, I built my home. In 2012, I built the home that I'm in right now. I had to record the cost that it cost me to build that home.
To who?
To the recorder, the county recorder.
You had to submit the
in
cost.
their office. The real estate,
Wow.
in part of the real estate, in that process, it has to be recorded, that cost. So if you go back to that time, sooner or later, you're going to find
See
out.
the bumps.
You're going to see what was the recorded cost or value of that home at that time. And then that is what I call the true value of the home. It cost me $435,000 to build my home.
Yeah.
And I've lived in 7 homes. I built home, sold a home, built home, sold a home, till I paid my home off.
Yep.
That's how I paid my home off. It took us a lot of work and a lot of time. But that's what it cost me, and that's what's recorded. They're telling me that house is worth over $1 million.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And that's just because of inflation.
But
That's what they say,
As
inflation.
a builder, I know that house is not worth that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I can build that house for. So I'm saying that's
You have
bull.
the receipts to prove it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's bull.
literally the receipts
So
to prove it.
we can go back to somewhere where there's a recorded value on someone's home, and we can say, okay, that's going to be the starting point.
Do you remember a specific year where you were like, oh, this is, now I'm paying attention. Like maybe really property taxes really just came into something past year, 2 years. But when do you remember looking back and going, this is bad? Like Texas went from 2,200 to now 5,200.
Probably 2021.
That's when you saw your first real bump.
And that's when you start thinking, what's going on? And that's not unusual. But you got to remember, I didn't have a clue what a commissioner did when I became a
Right.
commissioner. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a clue. I don't think anybody has a clue.
Yep.
And again, it's a popularity contest for the most part. None of us are really qualified to I mean, some of us
Well,
are,
you
but
were
we're only
real-
qualified.
Oh, you find
because-
out what you're going to do when you get there.
I
You figure if you
I
do
was
it.
around when he first ran, and he wasn't real popular with the establishment.
That's perfect.
And it's probably not your time. Well, he proved that he was popular with the people, and and we need more of that.
Because I listen to the people,
Yeah.
and I will
You're
continue-
accessible.
And I've even in public meetings pleaded with people, please let me know what you think. And you wouldn't believe the non-response that I get.
So we go
is too
from
bad.
SB1 property taxes
Well,
to redistricting, which is we've talked like Governor Braun's probably had 1 million success stories. We will only hear about those 2 losses, and that's it repeatedly. There, I mean, I just sent it to you today. This past weekend, it was sent to me by I will say a county chairperson who was like, "Dude, did you see this? Where Braun is way down, even in Jasper." And I think the 2 issues are property taxes SB1 and the redistricting thing. Right now, for me, I would just come out front and say, to me, redistricting had nothing to do with Indiana. It was all a national issue. And it was, do I want Andre Carson going to Congress and voting against Israel? Do I want him going there and voting pro-Hamas? Do I want him going there and voting pro-Marxist or for gender reassignment surgeries or for? I don't want any of that. And if I get rid of one of those and get rid of somebody who's against that stuff, sign me up. But it failed in spectacular fashion. I don't know where you were on the issue, but I think you can talk more about like why do conservatives have a hard time. And I think it's because we're very individualistic on this side. We don't do groupthink really on the right.
No.
But there's so much more infighting on the right. When the left wants to do something, you get the pro-Hamas, pro-illegal immigration, the gender reassignment people, they're all in the same group and they go, all right, what are we passing today? And they just vote for everything.
Yeah.
Well, but I think where we're at there, if we're talking about what is right, what is wrong, I don't have a problem with redistricting. I don't have a problem with the timing being what the timing was.
No, it's legal. We've been doing it for years.
And there's the process that I think some of us think about, some of us don't, and that's what we need to understand. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a fan of Roderick Bray. He's a man of standards. He stands his ground. He does what he thinks is right, and he was telling those senators from day one, vote your conscience. You have to vote your conscience. These people saying that he was guiding and leading, and I don't believe any of that. And I'm in communication with that man a lot.
It's your cousin.
And then not because of that. I didn't know he was my cousin until I got elected. I had no clue. But I know his integrity, and I know.
So he wasn't pushing people to go anti.
Well,
no.
The thing is to talk to that though. And I've got a lot of contacts in the House, and so the House put together a redistricting map.
They did.
The House was, and in my opinion, I think a lot of people agree with me. That map was hot garbage.
So
It
Mario,
was horrible.
I had Mario Masalami from Hamilton County GOP this past week, and he said what you're saying. He goes, "I was for it. The map was trash."
Well, but I 100% believe that was by design. I think it's all WWE wrestling. It's fake. You're a heel. You're a face. Whatever. And I feel like that was designed to give the Senate, who has already taken a lot of heat for saying they weren't going to pass it, give them an out. Here's the thing. Their out will be a horribly gerrymandered redistricting map. And I found out through some reliable sources that Senate leadership had a hand in designing that map. Now, why would Senate leadership have a hand in designing that map if they didn't want the map in the first place? They didn't want to redistrict. That don't make any sense to me.
Make it so bad.
Unless it was set up to give them the out that they were looking for. And I think a lot more of our senators that voted against it might have voted for redistricting had it not been for that horrific map.
Okay, so then that brings me to a follow-up question.
By design.
They can resubmit it next session, which
Yeah.
starts
They ain't
in a couple days. Do you see this coming back down the pipe, or you think this being a done deal?
I think SB1 is there's going to be discussion on SB1.
So property taxes will get another look.
Technical issues in the bill, not in the amount. We need to look more closely at business personal property tax than we do property taxes.
Meaning what? Can you go a little bit on more on that?
And that's something else we need to get into. Property tax reduction in property taxes in Johnson County, and I'm just saying in Johnson County, is not going to bury us. We can survive that, and yes, we're going to have to be more effective, more efficient. We're going to have to be more picky and choosing in what we do. And that's like I told Governor Braun, you know what our shiny object is in Johnson County? A behavioral health center that we built. That's our shining object. If you want to call that a shiny object, something that's going to help people that truly need help, then go ahead and call it that. But that's what we do in Johnson County. That's how we spend money in Johnson County. A new health department, a new coroner's office where we can do our own thing with our coroner's office instead of having to depend on Marion County and do things like that. A new community corrections building, which we're now building, because the old one was so nasty that it just wasn't working for the people in the county. We want to rehabilitate people and hopefully help people better their lives. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to do in Johnson County. So we can survive all this because we're picky and choosy about how we spend taxpayer money in Johnson County. We've always been that way, ever since I've been here and prior to me, just so you know. Where we lose grip on things is when you're looking at, in Johnson County, overall county funds, $16.3 million in lost revenue on business personal property tax, which if you go back to the original Constitution in the United States, who's supposed to be paying taxes? Corporations.
Right.
Not individuals.
So you're saying the issue comes from, and the easiest example I can give anybody is Amazon's going to bring a new data center to Johnson County, and they're going to get 15 years of free taxes. You're not going to pay shit on anything. That's where the money's lost.
Absolutely.
And they tell you
TIF districts.
What they do is they turn around and say, well, we're going to hire people. And the reality is you're not hiring people from Johnson County. You're bringing in a ton of HB ones.
But it not only does it affect the Amazons, it affects the corporate restaurants. It affects your Taco Bells. It affects your McDonald's in Johnson County. So we have to understand, in other counties, it may not be that.
So Johnson
big of a
County
hit.
specifically has this
Johnson County's getting hit really, really hard by business personal property
because they're
taxes.
not paying. Businesses are not paying
You got
property
a lot
taxes.
of warehouse companies.
They get a bigger break. It went from $80,000 to $2 million.
Oh wow! So if I'm in the right bit, I'm not paying anything.
You're not.
Well, we've got a lot of
Or a
big
lot less.
corporate
Wow.
warehouse
Yeah, that
distribution
sucks.
centers that have popped up in the last, let's call it a decade. I mean, more in the last 5 years, mostly in northern Johnson County, just
Right or
just
wrong.
populous, right or wrong.
Right or wrong.
And most of those organizations have gotten property tax deferments, abatements, everything, so they're not offsetting that tax base based off of what that land was already paying, whatever was there before that, whether it be residential or commercial. And it's like, and they've put it off with no guarantee that when that free taxation wears off, they don't just move somewhere else and do it all over again. Why wouldn't you?
Listen, it's like you said.
It happened in.
They're not committed to the county.
So you're
It's
telling me
happened.
my tax abatements for 15 years, well, in year 16, will be moving to Springfield, Illinois.
And that works. And it happens. It happens. It's happened in Johnson County. I can't tell you it would never happen again. But I will say
Where people,
this.
as soon as the tax abatement's over, they're out.
But
And I can't hate because they're there to try to run a for-profit business. And unfortunately, counties like Johnson or any of the other ones that are trying to get these data centers are probably going to find themselves in the same issue. I think they talked about 50-year tax abatement or something along those lines.
And data centers as a whole, that's a whole.
Yeah,
nother-
yeah. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just talking
It's
about
another different
we're trying to
subject.
draw these businesses here, and
But
part of
it-
that is us giving them tax abatements.
And that's part of what some do. The commissioners in Johnson County do not agree with tax abatements. And if you're going to build an unincorporated Johnson County, you're probably not going to get a tax abatement. Now, if
But
you
you should
build,
be part of the county.
if you build in the city or the town,
Yeah.
you're going to probably get a tax abatement.
Oh wow.
And that's the way it works. We just don't. That's not who we are.
But you've got cities that are aggressively trying to expand their boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're trying to, why am I blanking on the word for it? They're trying to incorporate unincorporated areas. They're just trying to
they're
grow-
annexing.
Annex.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They're annexing and annexing and annexing.
And they always have.
Yeah, they always have. But it's like, are we at critical mass now? With this annexation versus annexation for the purpose of getting more taxation. That's what it is.
I mean,
They're only
yes.
annexing because they want the tax base.
Yeah.
Now that property tax has become I'm not going to call it a windfall for them, but it's definitely bailing them out of a lot of their problems. And then bringing in these corporations that aren't paying any taxes hardly at all, and to allegedly provide jobs, but
Right.
you're not providing jobs because most of the people that are coming to work those jobs are coming out of Marion County.
Or somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere else.
And we consider all those things, and those are things these are the things that I stay awake at night and think about.
Right. That part-time job you have as a commissioner,
Yeah,
that's full-time.
60, 70 hours a week that I work. It's we need to understand there's a process for that, and the process can work if it's done properly, but it has to be set up properly. Data centers are not a big bad thing if the guardrails are put in place. The financial part of it is covered. The resources part of it is covered. It works that way in any business, whether it's a data center or whether it's Amazon coming into town. You have to weigh the cost compared to the production, and that is what we sometimes don't do. Also, you have to understand, and that's why Johnson County, that's why the commissioners in Johnson County, we TIF pretty well everything that wasn't already annexed. And I don't think anybody's hiding that. We did that for a reason. We did that to control growth because you have to build your infrastructure prior to letting your area grow. That is something that I feel like we failed to do in the last several years, is we're not structuring our infrastructure in the proper way for the growth. So you slow your growth, you build your infrastructure, and you let your growth move to that. In that fashion.
See, I don't have a problem.
We're here with 2025 Brian Baird. This is the Commissioner of the Year, and we're getting into the weeds.
Yeah,
And
well,
we
let's
are.
do a pause real quick. I
Yeah.
want to talk about some
Yeah.
with respect to him. I mean, we're all over the place right now because there's just so much.
Hot. Like we finally have somebody in the hot
subject
seat.
matter expert.
Yeah. Our first guest,
no expert.
Our first guest ever was boxing legend Layman Brewster.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I work
Cool.
at WIBC, and all I've heard about is fucking property taxes, and it's nice to have somebody in the seat that I can ask the questions
Right.
to.
And, we want to get into the fact that we want to go deep in the weeds of property tax,
Yes.
where they're going and everything.
Yeah.
But let's, real quick, I want to talk about some of the, I guess we'll just call them gifts he brought today
Let's do it,
as a
yeah.
guest. First off,
Set a high bar.
and
He set a high bar. Future guests, pay attention to
Yes,
this.
pay attention
right now.
to the standard.
Right now.
So he brought us a couple of bourbons. I'll let him speak to those. He brought us some exquisite cigars. I'm gonna let him speak to that. And I mean, this is one of the main.
Hey.
I'm easily bought.
John,
so this is why I love the guy.
You're
So-
easily bribed on the first
Yes,
try.
I've been bribed.
Didn't even have to honeypot you.
No,
All right, but Johnson.
I'm not an elected official.
Johnson
so.
County has just set a super high bar.
Yes. So, but Brian, tell us about the bottle that you had. You had a barrel bottle. Then tell us about this other awesome bottle and these cigars that you've gifted us. With.
Before we get into that, though, I want to make sure people understand. I don't make much money as a commissioner in Johnson County. My success has been through my businesses.
Yeah, we're going to get deep in the weeds.
That
on
I
that.
have in Johnson.
Yeah.
I just want to say that before we start talking
This
about
is not taxpayer money.
this.
No,
is
not taxpayer
Well,
money.
I think it's pretty well known for those that are paying attention down here in Johnson County that you're serving as our county commissioner, which is supposed to be a part-time job. He treats like a full-time job. Plus,
if you care,
he does
it's not
that
part-time.
philanthropically. Yeah. He could have retired a long time ago. I personally don't know why he continues to do it, but he does it. He continues. He's been very successful. Independent small businessman, and small. What do you want to call small? He's done very well for himself over the years, provided for his family, and he gives back. And there's other things he's given back with kids and anti-drug and helping the sheriff's right. There's a lot we're going to get into with this, but before we do that, I'm glad we got that disclaimer out. Please tell us about these wonderful items.
This happens to be a Pappy 10-year-old, which Pappy is well known for their 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 23-year-old are their biggies.
Yep.
It is very rare, hard to get, and expensive. I like the 10-year-old and the 12-year-old. I know Brian Alvey likes the 12-year-old and 15-year-old.
Yep.
I'm a 10-year, 12-year guy, but it's probably because it's cheaper. And so
we sound like people going to the Epstein Island.
I was literally going to say, I was like, I'm over 18. I don't know about these guys.
Well, brother, if I could find a bottle of bourbon that was 45-year-old, I'd be down. But
but it is a beautiful, beautiful thing to sip on.
Yeah, let's pour some of that.
That looks nice.
And
I've never even heard of it. Complete disclosure. I'm sitting around and going, what's so special about it? And then he went through everything about it.
Well,
it's pretty cool to be even a part of it. And this is branded.
Yes, that was actually Maker's Mark, which is, for those viewers out there that don't know much about bourbon, Maker's Mark is probably one of the most consistent bourbons on the market.
That's my favorite.
You notice his name's on that bottle.
That's why I said, yeah, that's my favorite. I'm gonna make anytime I go out to the bar, can I get a beer and a shot of Makers every time?
Maker's Mark is the most consistent that I've ever had. It's not the greatest. It's not the worst. It's the most. It's like McDonald's.
It's the best.
It's like McDonald's coffee. You can get the same McDonald's coffee everywhere you go.
Yeah. I agree.
That's
and it's got the
Maker's
cool wax dip.
Which is waxed individually.
It's iconic.
Which I did that dipping myself.
Oh,
that's awesome.
My son-in-law and my daughter bought me a barrel of whiskey from Maker's Mark 8 years ago now. 8.5
a
years ago.
full barrel?
I had
They
access,
bottle it and everything for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went down and I did.
So you get a ton of bottles, or how
You
does
didn't
that
get a
work?
barrel. He got all the. Yeah, you get cases of it.
I got most of it, but you have to buy it.
Yeah.
You get
They're
a big-
paying for it, but then they give you buy the barrel, and then they give you
a-
all the
you
bottles
get a
out
big,
of that barrel.
They won't sell you the whole barrel. They'll tell you can buy as many bottles out of that barrel as you want.
Gotcha.
So I took buddies down with me because down in Kentucky they have these laws. You can only buy 9 bottles at a time.
Yep.
Didn't know
So
this.
I'd take 4 and 5 guys down with me, and we'd buy bottles and bring them back. And I did that until I got 73 bottles of that barrel.
So Jerry, now
That's
that you've
phenomenal.
been sipping,
I didn't know that. I've heard about people buying barrels.
you've been sipping on.
Dude, my family's from Cuba. This is all like going to like new school for me.
It's good stuff, and it's cool. It's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And Maker's Mark, if you haven't been down there, it's a beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, it's awesome! It's amazing
campus. It's just unbelievable.
So you've been sipping on this Maker's, Jerry.
That's
now,
my-
and
yeah.
you've never had, now you're going to have the Pappy 10.
Never had
So
it.
take a sip on the Pappy 10.
I've never had it. I'm a Maker's guy.
So I did put it in the proper glass for such a thing. I put it in the proper Glencairn glass, which is always a challenge for me because I can't get my big ass nose in it. So
Yeah.
You can't.
I have to lean back.
Caveman
I can't get
fingers.
mine in there either.
So good. Flavor notes hit different.
So I'm going to give you an honest review as someone who's never even had this before.
3 sips, bud.
All right.
The first adjust your palate.
Yeah.
The second. The
Honest
first
review.
shocks your
Never even
palate.
heard
The
of
second
it. Never even
adjust.
heard of it. When he said it, I said too. I said, "Is this shit special or something?" Because he said the name like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it.
So listen, I always tell people, whether it be wine, whiskey, or whatever, it's a 3-sip process. The first shocks your palate. So don't even think about it. The second will adjust your palate. And then the third sip is when you're going to be tasting it for what it is to your
And
palate.
that guy from WIBC that everybody loves would tell you the same
Cats.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say his name. But
Shout out,
Shout out
Cats.
to Tony Cats.
Shout out, Cats.
Yeah.
Hey, honestly, so there, and this is going to sound like amateur review. Like, there's not a lot of bite to it, right?
Smooth.
That's like, to me, that's immediate, right? With Makers, I know what I'm getting, but there's bite to this.
there's definitely bite.
There's not any bite to this. Super good.
It's a good weeded. It's actually a great weeded bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, super good.
Weeded's always going to be softer than a
Smooth,
rye.
didn't have a lot of bite. That's the best I can. Like, it doesn't feel like heartburn.
Well,
It does not.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
It doesn't taste like heartburn.
And all guys know what that means now. Like,
Yeah.
this is delicious.
Brian,
it
tell-
will taste like heartburn.
Brian, tell us about these cigars that you gifted us.
Those
Because
are-
you've gifted me one of these before, and
These
it's
are fancy.
delicious.
Yeah, these are fancy.
Beautiful little sticks. What I love about them is they're not the most expensive cigar on the market. They're La Aurora. Those are the Toro, what they would call their Toros, or Platinum.
Yep.
Those are you can find them if you get a special deal on them for $16-17 a stick.
Come in this fancy little.
And it, which is
bullet.
just that's a sales marketing tool, and boy does it work.
It works.
Yep.
It works because
Well, it's great if you're out doing something. You
that-
just put it in your pocket. You're not destroying your stick.
But that's a beautiful smoke. It's really, really smooth. It's got a lot of flavor on the palate as you smoke it. I'm more of a Connecticut
Are you?
wrapper guy, which they make a blue sapphire that's the Connecticut version of that. I know you were a Toro person.
Yeah,
I always-
Toro, Maduros.
I always
I
bring
like
that.
the spicy, aggressives. I like the heartburn.
I like the.
That's
I like,
more of a Maduro.
I'm more of a
Toro.
Philly or
Delicious.
Swisher Sweet kind of guy. You know,
We're trying to fix him.
I like to cut out the guts and refill it myself.
Yeah.
Easy turbo.
So we got some good,
Still
good
schedule
stuff
one
going
here.
on here, and I'm going to leave the pappy for Brian.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you as always.
So let's go full circle because now I really want to get to know you. First of all,
And now I'm scared.
yeah, you should be.
afraid.
First of all, I don't know. I'm asking for me. But
Yeah.
what does a county commissioner do? There's so this is. I'll preface it by saying this: a lot of ashholes come out to vote
Yeah.
for president.
I've always.
But not a lot of ashholes know a lot of these other people that are running for things.
I think-
So I voted for a sheriff that may lock me up for things I'm against.
Yep.
Or may. Same thing with like a school board. I don't know who the hell's running for school board. They don't tell me, but these are the people influencing my children's school.
they are.
So what does a county commissioner do?
We are the executive branch. You have your executive, judicial, and judicial in county organization. So you have your council, you have your commissioners, and then you have your judicial system. Checks and balances are really totally separate.
I've always facetiously, but it's more accurate than inaccurate. Each county has 3 commissioners. The commissioners basically function as a 3-headed mayor
Yes.
of the county, the executive, the
Yeah,
president
but
of the county.
isn't there already a mayor of the city you're in?
There's cities and municipalities that reside within the county. They cover the predominant amount of the county.
So it
around
sounds
the
like I'm hearing a word called redundancy.
We're unincorporated.
You're not. Oh, Johnson County specific. Well, let's have a conversation about
Around the
incorporated.
cities.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about incorporated. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about townships?
I'm
We're going to get into the township.
Hey, listen.
Well, let's finish the commissioners.
Yeah, what does a
thing.
county commissioner do?
Okay, we're the executive branch. We're over the roads, the buildings, the maintenance. We take care of all the county property, fleet, with sheriff's office vehicles, all that. That all goes through the county
Highway
executive.
Are you in a
Department,
special
Highway
situation
Department.
because you're in Johnson County?
No.
Okay.
All commissioners. There's 92 counties
Yep.
that are in the state of Indiana. 90 have working commissioners such as ours.
Who's the two
Marion
that don't?
County, and I think it's Allen County.
Because they got Unigov.
Yeah, they've
Is
got
Allen County like Fort Wayne?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
It'd be
That's
South
good- good
Bend.
pull, good pull.
Where the
LaPorte
metropolitan
County.
is the same as
Yeah.
the county. So Allen County being Fort Wayne, Marion County being Indianapolis is
Then
one
you
government
have your
system.
incorporated, which are your cities and towns that choose to be incorporated. They are outside of our jurisdiction to a point. until they get out into the unincorporated areas, which are roads and our streets and all that. So it's kind of a mixture of things. Do you really need both? In my opinion, no. You probably don't. But that wasn't my decision back in that day, and I, you know. And
well, corporations used to be a lot smaller and a lot less frequent back then.
Yeah.
County was a big deal.
We're just creating cities now and then just waiting for people to grow into them.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we're doing.
And I live in Westfield. Post-divorce, I live with my good friend that lives in Sheridan. And I learned very quickly, like, they're not incorporated like everybody else. Like, this is going to sound stupid, like, but I'm a city boy. I would see a sign that would say Sheridan city limits. And, like, to me, that was new. I'd never seen anything that said city limits for anything.
Really?
Yeah, ever.
He grew up in Marion County.
Ever. I'm a city boy. I don't know what the hell city limits are. I went with my
get out of that block.
I went with my girlfriend to Thanksgiving 2 years ago. Her family
focused on
her family
neighborhoods.
lives in Terre Haute, and they had a volunteer fire department. I don't know what the fuck that was either. Just random dudes set up with radios helping some lady that broke her leg.
Yeah, we have 5 of those.
I don't even know what that is.
In Johnson County.
Right. So to me, when I hear unincorporated, I hear like you're not really part of this. You don't get any of the services.
When the city annexes, they annex not only.
When you say annex, what are you referring to? Kick you out?
When they kick us out as unincorporated Johnson County, and they bring in city limits that expand their limits.
So we're only going to pay for services up to this point, and you live outside of those limits, so you're not incorporated.
Right. Basically, unincorporated means we're going to cover those areas that are outside of the annexed city or town.
The country.
The country, urban areas. Yeah. And in some cases, even in the city areas. I mean, we have property that's unincorporated in Whiteland.
Holy cow.
And we have some property.
Won't be for long.
Yeah.
Well, Whiteland and New Whiteland will be fighting over it.
Yeah.
They will, but as long as we keep our TIFs
or Zionsville, as we
as long as
call
we keep our TIFs in place, we've got a seat at the table. And that's why we did the TIFing. We didn't do the TIFing to try to destroy cities and towns. The tax increment financing.
Okay. And what does that mean for me?
That means that if the city or town annexes that, they get the taxable increment financing on everything that they do in that area. They take it away from us and they take it to themselves. Now that we've TIFed everything outside of their annexed areas as Johnson County, that gives us a seat at the table to be able to help control growth.
Because you have your own funds.
We can put our own bonds against it and things like that.
And they can't just come take the land either.
Right.
Through annexation.
So they have to work with us, and that's all we ever ask. I don't want to control what the cities and towns do. What I want to do is I want to be able to control the growth into our unincorporated.
But then my question to you is like, you don't want to join the city either, though.
No. Well, I live in unincorporated Johnson
Right,
County.
And that's good for you. You do you.
That's where I
You don't
live.
want to really deal with whatever, but you have to come up with enough funds to be taken seriously.
I think a really good example is the fact that we are currently in Johnson County, and we are also inside the incorporated city limits of Franklin, Indiana. And you have you talk about how to seat at the table and having conversations where you have a really good relationship with the current mayor of Franklin, correct?
Steve Barnett is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Mayor Barnett
You guys
is.
work as a team.
Yes, we do.
Whenever something comes to the table that impacts both of your guys' jurisdictions, I mean, let's face it, your office is in his city limits because
Yes,
it is the county seat.
Wow.
So you guys worked. So can you give us maybe an example of where you two, he is the mayor and you as the part of the three-headed mayor of the county as the commissioners, have tag teamed and worked, a growth thing or anything that you could think of where you guys came together to benefit the taxpayers, the people that live here?
In a lot of ways, in saving money on road structure, saving money on bridges, saving money on roundabouts, and let's face it, roundabouts are the thing of the future.
I live in Carmel. It's a roundabout city, buddy.
And those are
Everybody's dizzy.
I don't even like it. Hey, when I pull up to a stoplight, I go, poor people.
I know, right?
Yuck.
Dude, I'm a big fan of roundabouts. I navigated roundabouts in downtown Kabul when people were shooting at everybody. If you can't navigate a roundabout here, turn in your driver's
you know what I tell
license.
people? We keep putting up roundabouts as long as you South-Seaters keep figuring it out. We'll put up another one until they go the wrong way.
Yeah.
It slows down traffic, controls it a
Sure.
little better. I get all
Sure.
that. It
makes it flow.
It's hard on your left tires.
That's
left
fact.
side tires, but
If you're not rubbing, you're not racing.
no, I like that. I like to get out on the roads and get somewhere. But we work together in a lot of those areas, whereas a lot of cities and towns don't work that way together in getting things done.
There's no combative relationship with you. You guys
him and I
converse.
talk-
But
regularly.
is that usually the case, or is sometimes there a little bit of friction because like you are kind of the mayor for the unincorporated area,
We're going to have our friction.
and here's a person who has a say for everything on that side of the line, and you have a say for everything on this side of the line, and every now and then there's some bleed over.
Well, you say you're going to have your friction, but that doesn't necessarily either one of you are wrong. You're just advocating for the people
Correct.
you represent.
We have to.
Yeah.
For
that's-
your own people.
That's what I was elected to do,
Right.
and that's what he was elected to do. He's elected to fight for the people in his jurisdiction. I'm elected to fight for the people in my jurisdiction. And that's what we do.
Which butt up to each other.
And sometimes it does. But that friction doesn't have to be combative.
Yeah.
And it's not combative with mayors.
And these are your freaking neighbors.
And they are.
And you're adults.
Yeah,
And-
these
and
are
I-
our friends. Yeah,
And I love the city of
Yeah,
Franklin. I
these
love
are
the
friends.
people. in
I
the
just live
city.
out here.
Yeah, I work in the city of Franklin, with our buildings being in the city of Franklin. But it's been a really, really good relationship. Always has with him ever since that he got elected. Other areas, we're going to have some conflict. Greenwood, as big as it is, as quickly as it's growing, that's going to cause some issues for unincorporated Johnson County. Not their fault, not saying there's anything wrong with them wanting to grow. We just want to be a part of and be at the seat of how fast that's done and how the infrastructure
Is
goes
there
in
a
and how that-
fight?
Based off of how it impacts your area.
Is there a
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong? You want to make sure you don't get incorporated. Is how it sounds.
No, and no, that,
Like the fear. I'm just
no.
saying from my perspective. Well, this is what it sounds like. It sounds like we're fighting off the
No,
growing
actually-
city, the growing city to keep our own.
You've given, and I can't cite them, but you've given me examples in the past where that you were like, it makes total sense for them to incorporate this area because they need to take
Absolutely.
over
Why would
responsibility
you
for
not
it.
want to be incorporated?
some people don't want to be involved in those type services. They'd rather be outside of government a little bit more than so far into government. When you move into a city or town, you're in heavy government area. And let's face it.
They tell me when my trash gets picked up. They tell me everything.
Yeah, and that
who I can have for cable, who I can have for.
unincorporated, it's not so much that way. That's why I live where I live in the very
Did
southern
you
part of
purposely
Johnson
move
County.
there because it was not incorporated?
I've lived there my whole life and
Okay.
wouldn't give. I worked in downtown Indianapolis for most of
Wouldn't
my
move
life.
there.
And had no
You and
desire
I
to.
escaped.
Would not move there.
I drove for an hour and 10 minutes to make
Wow.
sure that I didn't live in that area. I am just that type of person. I don't want a lot of regulations. I don't want a lot of people staring and looking at me, and that's just who I am.
You, sir, sound like a conservative
I
Republican.
would say you sound like an American.
He
bub.
sounds like
You sound like an American.
American conservative
So
Republican.
I want my own little piece, my own little place.
You've
is what I
been
want.
so you've been in the county commissioner now. You've been the president. You've been all this stuff, but you didn't have to do this.
No.
and I don't know anything. So like you came in as a successful small business owner who said, "I have some ideas on how this could actually be better," and the people of Johnson County have said, "Hell yeah, that's our guy."
You've
And
run
they
big
keep you there.
budgets. You've done
been
big jobs.
Commissioner of the year, but who are you? Like, take
Yeah.
away the commissioner thing.
I mean,
Like,
you-
who is Brian Baird? What,
You
what does
have-
he do?
you
What is
have a-
his business? Wait, how did he even get to the point where he goes, "Man, I'm ready to go from being an entrepreneur to like, I want to make change."
Well, let's go back even further than that. Before you became an entrepreneur, the arc of, because I've heard this story before. It's always interesting to me how you grew up in a family business essentially, but ended up having to take that thing over way earlier than you anticipated. You had to. I mean, you were a promising athlete with a really good opportunity to play football at a high level. You had to step away from that to just take over. Tell our listeners about that, because I think that's something that people find really interesting.
You mean what brought it to that?
Just
That's a
who you
painful
were
story.
growing up, the industry you ended up in, how you got there, that path.
I was one of 5 boys, and they were all very tall. I'm the smallest one in the family. I got my mother's
He's
height.
tall for those of you that aren't here.
I'm less than 6 foot now.
I'm 5'10", you
And I-
We're all
bastard.
shrinking.
My brothers are all 6'3" and a half,
Yeah.
6'4" and a half. They're all big boys. They called us the basketball team. And we all have our separate personalities and our separate ways. I was really, really good in football and was all county for 4 years in
Are you
football.
a Johnson County kid?
Yeah. We were the first county school to ever go to the state finals in 1975-76. Got our butts kicked down at Lawrenceburg. Won't lie to you. wanted to be a Green Bay Packer my whole life. I know that irritates Hoosier fans, but I was.
Yeah, we suck right now.
That's who I was. Was headed that direction. Going to be a political attorney. Get into being an attorney and get into politics way back then. Decided that wasn't the direction for me. My mother got terminal cancer back in 1979.
How old are you at this point? Roughly.
20. Well, I graduated in 77 at 18, so I was 21.
Okay.
21. 20 when I probably first heard about it. My dad asked me to stay home and help him run the business because my mom was dying.
And the business was what?
LD Mechanical Contractors, which he started with a partner in 1972.
Wow.
The partner's name was Les Dallas, which is where the LD Mechanical comes
Okay.
from. Had a chance to change that and never did change that. My dad was working for them at the time. My dad was a regional manager for the U.S. Rubber Company, or Uniroyal, at that time.
Yeah.
Started having to travel and start new divisions of Uniroyal. Decided he didn't want to raise 5 kids from Atlanta, Georgia, and all these places he was going.
Yep.
So he actually quit and went to work as a laborer. He was making a lot of money at Uniroyal. Went to work as a laborer for Les Dallas, or Dallas Company, which Les Dallas was part of.
Let me tell you what it is. Sounds like your dad sounds like a military contractor. And for me, it was like, you can leave and go work, but your boys they're just getting older and older and older and older and older and older
I had
and
to
older.
deal with that.
So what do? I bring my ass back home and I raise my boys.
And worked 3 jobs.
Yeah,
to
but
get that done.
you're home.
Yeah, and he was there to help raise us and very active in our lives and all that. So in that, though, I was dragged into LD Mechanical. Didn't really know
No
anything
degree.
at business.
Not playing for the Packers, I guess.
No.
I'm going to be working for Pops.
Yeah, and you know that was God's way
Yeah.
in getting me in my
He'll
life
show ya.
in the direction He wanted me to go, and I don't have a problem with. Don't regret any of it.
At the time you did. At the time it
I
sucked.
did. I wanted
Now
to-
you look back, you're like, it was the best thing.
That I wanted to be a Packer.
Yeah.
Even thought of walking on when I was 42 years old.
What position did you play?
I was wide receiver. Got drafted as a cornerback.
Excuse me, you what?
Got
You got drafted?
from Iowa.
No way.
Yeah.
You're a Hawkeye?
Never showed up.
You probably scored just as many points this year as they have in the past couple. Jeez, they're brutal. They are brutal.
You know what? They could use you right now.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna give you guys a shout out. Did you guys? You probably didn't, but they do the kids hospital wave thing. That's the University of
Have you
Iowa.
seen that?
No, I'm not.
The
At
kids'
the-
hospital's right next door.
It overlooks the stadium.
And they all stop in the middle of the game
And
all
wave to the kids.
It's really
Wow.
cool.
Coolest thing in the world. I mean, even the
Well,
visiting,
maybe that's why I chose Iowa.
the visiting
I don't know.
team, everybody looks over. It's like they just stopped the whole game and waved to these
But never
kids.
made it. Never made it.
But you got drafted, brother.
I did have.
That
scholarship.
means you're super good.
Well,
No, you're in the top 1%.
I was lucky. I was fortunate.
When you're a white wide receiver, you were not lucky. You were
Well, back
you were
then-
deceptively fast.
I was quick. I'll give you that. And I had good hands.
There
That's
you
what
go.
my coach always said. You got good hands.
So,
And
but you
that's
got drafted. What happens after that? So you get drafted.
Didn't go. No, my mom got cancer.
Didn't even show up.
No.
Didn't have a choice.
Nope.
Got to go back to the
Walked
family
away
thing.
from that, and my dad. I asked him several times. Don't one of the other boys. I had an older brother. Can't you? Do
have
one
4
of the
older
other
brothers.
Boys? Yeah. He just, for some reason, he knew I was the businessman. He knew I had the head to do what needed to be done.
Because he needed to focus on your mom.
Yes, he did.
He needed you to run the business.
But he
so
picked
could-
the baby. He picked the baby boy out of the group
No,
to
I'm
go.
second oldest.
Okay, I thought you said you had.
I have an older
Oh, you
brother.
said you had 4 brothers. I assumed you were the
No,
youngest.
I'm not the youngest. I'm
He was
the
just he was the
smallest.
shortest, so he was the point guard.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't like.
I was
your
the guy that got
height
beat
stories.
up all the time. Is who I was.
He's like, don't make me get my brothers. Bro.
Little brothers beat me up. Because
Well, the little brother in the Jones family, 2 of the brothers went to the NFL.
Went to the
John
UFC.
Jones went to the UFC and beat everybody up. So,
But went to work for LD. Moved it to Franklin eventually.
What year did you move it down to Johnson County?
1991.
1991. Huge opportunity for Johnson County. Growing business, retaining business,
Brought
getting
two,
business.
actually.
Did you get a tax abatement?
No,
That's a great question.
never asked for one.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have taken.
I don't
one.
think people ask for them now. You just people expect them.
I would have never even thought to even ask about something like that. I'm a guy that makes my own way. I don't need anybody.
So my pop
Free
said,
market.
My pop said to me, he's like, you ever wonder if you're a Republican or Democrat? Do you have a job? Yeah, you're a Republican. So you.
I know some good Democrats.
Yeah. So you give up your dream. I wouldn't even say give up. You had no other choice but to say, okay, I'm not playing football.
Integrity dictated that.
Like listen, I got to go home. I got to support my pops. I got to support the business. I got to, they took care of me, and now listen, I got to come home and I got to do my part.
That's my job.
So you go home, you get part of this business. You don't really know what you're going into. I'm sure you're a little ticked off because you wanted to do football, and now you're part of this LD.
Was never ticked off.
Really?
I just felt like it was what I needed to do. My dad took care of me all my life. It was my time.
But then you not only
wow. At 20? That's crazy.
Not the right word. You inherited a business, but you took it to a whole nother level.
Oh yeah.
He inherited a business in the worst way.
And then you retired from that business after taking it to and I'll let you speak to the arc there. You retired from it. I mean, let's say you don't need to work anymore, yet you spend 80 plus hours doing a part-time commissioner's job. You're in the State House more than half of our year-round, more than half the people in the General Assembly.
I'm there a lot.
Yeah.
What makes you go, I could just sit on my laurels and relax? I've done right by my mom. I've done right by my dad. I've done right by the business. I can be done. My job here is done, ladies and gentlemen. And go, you know what? I want to jump into this shit show real quick.
Yeah, it's not. And I tell people, and I said this at my opening speech of the conference this year as president, I don't do this for me. I do this for my children. I do this for my grandchildren. And I do this for their children.
Are you a veteran?
I am not.
That's veteran mentality.
But
veteran mentality is, I'll figure it out. I want to take care of y'all.
But I am law enforcement.
Yeah, so it's the same thing.
I've been law enforcement.
Paramilitary.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Since 1985.
Yeah, so it's not about you. It's about the greater mission.
Jump into that real quick. Tell us about, because the things you've done. Not only have you never gotten paid a dime, you've spent money on running things for law enforcement. You've done the anti-drug campaigns with the kids. Weren't you flying your plane for the drug interdiction stuff at some point?
I had flown looking for drugs, looking for those areas, and then had a good friend.
That was that joint task force, right, with multiple agencies involved, or
that I can't tell you at that time.
Yeah. You just flew.
You get coordinates and you go do what you do. Yep. Probably the best and the most realistic thing I did with the sheriff's office was the crime prevention youth assistance programs, where we, in Johnson County schools,
right.
And my wife was with me on that. I was a K-9 officer. We took our K-9 into the school, search and recovery K-9, did examples for the kids, hid one of them, had the dog find them. Probably for most schools, it was the most popular thing that they had going. They loved us, and we were going everywhere. Actually became a part of Radio Disney for almost 2 years and traveled around the state with that.
They ever have you kidnap kids and take them to the island, or
no?
Okay,
didn't have anything.
We've heard secrets.
Disney's not Disney no more.
Hey, listen, we've heard secrets about the mouse. All right, the mouse is not the mouse that I grew up with,
and that's why we got out of Disney. Is their view of what we were doing and our view of what we were doing were two different things. My daughter wrote the programs. She's an English lit major and school teacher. She wrote all the programs. My wife trained the canines. This was just a big program that my whole family was involved in.
But it doesn't have to be. I mean, so to me, a young poor kid from immigrants, like, it's all about money. It's all about money. It's the money chase, the money chase, the money chase. And you, from my perspective, had the money. There's no need for you to do any of this if you just wanted to be 99% of the people in America.
I care about people.
You spend more money doing the job you do now than you would if you never did it.
My first 4 years as commissioner, it cost me money to be here.
It cost you money to run. It cost you money to do all this stuff.
Yeah, for the record.
Listen, I am not kissing any ass at all.
No, I get it.
It's for a real thing.
No, I get it. For the record, people at home, they're playing along. What does a commissioner make annually?
Yeah.
Well,
if that's not too personal.
It's public record.
There we go. It's not.
I've refused the raise every year, and they won't let me.
That's fair. It is what it is.
And I just don't believe
you get paid yearly every 2 weeks.
Johnson County
every 2 weeks,
Johnson County commissioner make annually?
This coming year,
yeah,
you're gonna probably drop your gums. I think it's $53,000, $54,000.
Baller.
to run a county.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's when I started. It was 17.
Right.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So
the council has for some reason kept giving us raises
because they vote for them.
Because they want to be able to give themselves raises.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think it's so much that. I think what these councils here in the last 6-7 years have seen is all the time that's put in.
Maybe.
And I think they're trying to make it somewhat right.
Okay, but
in that, I believe they hurt the position because I believe there's too many.
Now
I
too many
believe
people
there's-
want it.
too many people being
Wrong
paid.
reasons.
Yeah.
They want it for the paycheck.
It makes you
And
a
the
local
benefits.
celebrity.
and the benefit.
and the
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you are a county employee,
Yeah.
so you're entitled to all the benefits.
There's at least one person that kisses your ass just because of your job. Even though you may think your job's unimportant, I take my job in radio. Ready? Radio. I don't think it's as cool as everybody else thinks it is.
No.
I do take it very important. I want to do a good job. I get paid for it. I want to be the best I am. We've talked all the time about like it's a big deal to me, and I like lean
It's your passion, though.
I lean on my brothers sometimes and go, hey, I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. I don't know if I belong.
Yep.
Like the whole deal, right? You're an elected official, and sometimes you can't tell me you're not like, listen, I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now.
I think everybody goes through that. I think you go through.
Do you
that.
have people you lean on?
Yes. We have an unbelievable staff in Johnson County.
Because nobody trained you. Like nobody said, okay, so what do you
I
want to be?
wasn't-
You weren't an 18-year-old like, I want to be a county commissioner.
Yeah, back
No.
in 2012, I had no intent of running for county
Yeah.
commissioner.
And all of a sudden you're the dude in charge.
I was complaining to my father about the way things were going in the county, and my father looked at me and he said, "Brian, you've never been one to complain. You've always been one to fix.
Here I am, send me.
Go fix it."
So then my question to you is, once you get
I
there,
went
do you
to fix it.
realize, like, man, you can't fix things as quickly as I thought you could?
You cannot.
And even though we may all sit at the table and go, you agree? You agree? It's still bureaucracy that has to get you through the finish line.
Well,
Time frame.
you can't do it overnight. That was my big argument with everybody. I hate property tax. I think property tax needs to go away, but I was realistic about it when last year during that shit show we call a General Assembly with SB1. You can't just get rid of it. You have to. It has to be a process to eliminate to get it to go transfer to something else. You can't just turn it off. They can't run county government. They can't run any government without that funding.
In my eyes, it's a 5-year process just to get it started. And
Explain that.
you have to start somewhere. We talked about the value of property, the value of a home. You've got to find and establish what that value should be.
Right.
I say we go back.
The real value.
Yeah.
We go back to the recorded value.
The recorded value is the value you bought your house for, period.
Or you paid for it.
To
or
have
built it.
built or whatever. This is
Right.
what you exchanged for
This
the
is
house.
what's recorded. This
Yes.
is what it costs at that
Not
time.
an assessed value.
You go back to that point there, and then you set a standard and a rate. If you're living in a home that wasn't recorded, it would be your responsibility as a homeowner to have someone appraise that home
Yes.
and get you the proper cost on that home at the values of those times.
That you would have paid. So let's say I bought my house in 1976. I don't have an assessed value. I had somebody give me an assessment based on the cost at that time.
Yes.
Not what it is now.
There.
Because
And
now it's $2 million.
Right, and you set that base, and I'll have county commissioners calling me as soon as they watch this program, and I'm going to get my butt.
Tell them to come on.
And that's okay, because
We
I
will
wanna,
have our first debate.
We will have our first debate.
I want to help people.
Yeah.
and that's I want to help.
And here's the crazy part. Those people that are complaining are paying property taxes too. All right.
Yes,
So
they
we
are.
want us all to win. We want us all, we can all, this is bipartisan.
Yep.
We should all win.
And this may not be the answer, but it's a start, and that's what I'm saying. It's a 5-year.
So
process.
go back to the initial assessed,
you go back
the
to
initial
that.
cost.
You go back to that, or prove what that appraisal would be or would have been. And houses have sold since then, and yes, you're going to find some issues in that, and you're just going to have to trust people to do the right thing. If they don't do the right thing, you'll figure it out sooner or later.
Yeah.
And you set that rate, and then what you do is you say, okay, we are going to have 1.5%, a 2% increase each year for the next 5 years. You can plan that into your budget.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and in that, we start gaining a little more money to
Yes.
cover those costs that are going to expand because as we get more people, it's going to cost more to expand those costs. And you take that up to a 5-year period. At that 5-year period, we sit down and we start talking about it again. Prior to that, say,
So
where are we
if you're
gonna go
saying
from here?
2%, we're going up a max of 10. Let's even give it 15. 10 to 15% off the initial cost of the house
in the next 5 years.
instead of getting smacked year over
Incrementally
year.
over the next 5 years.
Yeah. So 2 year, 2.
What you can do-
2, you're up to 10.
Yeah.
Now we're going to reevaluate the whole thing.
You plan your budget. You figure out where you're at. Is it going to?
Can they do that now? Because the money's already spent.
It's going to be tough. And
Like I live in Hamilton County. You got the Palladium. You got the Fishers Event Center. You have the basketball thing. Like that money is spent.
it is spent, and it's there, and there's cost to that. But you're going to find out that people that live in those areas, that, number one, they're newer homes, they're
Yep.
bigger homes,
Yep.
and they're going to be worth more in appraised value anyway. And so there's going to be some issues with it, and that's what I'm saying. It has to be done over a 5-year process, and there's going to have to be some adjustments done
To give
But
time
once-
to work through it, work it
But
out.
once those adjustments are done, then we should be able to come up with a pattern where people are paying something consistent with a consistent value
Not getting
increase.
smacked. Yeah.
Not getting smacked one year and a little less the next year, but a little more.
17% the next year.
Yeah.
So what? So
don't do that. And people will be happy with that because they'll open their tax bill knowing what they're going to be paying.
But that issue doesn't necessarily do anything for my abuela on fixed income. Is she eventually going to, even by your idea, which saves a lot of people money and gives families a chance to even assume what their tax burden is going to be. She doesn't have a 2% bump. She's on Social Security.
If you're
she doesn't have a 4% and definitely doesn't have a 10% bump in the next 5 years.
65 or older, you own your home, you shouldn't pay taxes.
At all.
No property tax.
I agree with that 100%. You've bought your house. You've done what you're supposed to do.
And people will argue with that, and I've had the legislators argue with me and make this
So
comment.
you want to take grandma's
you're-
home then?
You're going to get all the services, but you're not going to pay for them.
No, I've already paid for them.
That's what I say. Let's talk about all the years I've already
This shit
paid.
is car insurance. I've already paid for this. I just got hit. Can you please fix my car for the first time?
And
Why do
what
I
we're-
got to fight with you?
What we're doing in the process is we're giving younger people a goal. Hey, if I
Buy
do
my
this,
house off and
if
it's
I
fine.
do this right and I work my way up to this, I get this,
Hey,
this
listen.
reward.
That is
I'm
the
telling
best
you,
plan I've heard,
people-
and I've heard a lot of these silly little plans.
It will be a positive. Now, again, I'm not
Because there's no incentive for me to buy off my. Listen, I am 44. Let's say I buy a house today and I do a 15-year mortgage. What is the incentive to pay this crap off if I know already? All right, and we're having this conversation 20 years out.
They're talking 45-year mortgages now.
Yeah.
Well, because they don't want you to own anything. All right. But if I am already under the assumption that Social Security is not going to be there for me at all, and my 401k is going to be shot anyway, nobody saves enough. I am not going to ever own this house. I may pay the mortgage off, but I'll never own it because of property taxes. Why not just say an apartment?
And that's what people are doing because there's no incentive for them to do what.
Not even to
what needs be done.
speak to
No.
inheritance tax, which is a whole other problem.
Which is crap.
You can't leave your home. When you leave a home to your children,
Yeah.
you left them a tax debt. You left them a tax debt.
Yep.
How many times did they? Well, I inherited my parents' home. I can't afford it.
Can't afford it. You gotta
Immediately
sell.
put the family home on the market, which they don't want to do because they can't afford the tax debt.
We are based on a tax system that's gone awry.
Yeah.
And that's what the Tea
Well,
Party
we
was
talked
over.
about that. Well, we talked about We talked about it in a couple episodes ago. We talked about and I made the point. It's like we were talking about regulation and how we regulate everything.
Yes.
Why the hell do I pay 25, 35, whatever the going rate is now for a fishing license to pull bluegill out of a pond? That makes absolutely no sense. But that's just a small example. It's a small window's view to a larger
it is.
problem.
It is.
We tax and fee, but our government tax and fees the hell out of everything. You can't do anything without paying to play.
And what government says to you, and again, I'm not anti-government. I believe in government.
Absolutely not. You're in there trying to make it work.
We have to have government. It's needed. It keeps violent, evil people in line,
Right.
and it's just what government.
We
is
are a
supposed to do.
civilized nation.
Right. Government is for our protection, not to control us in everything that we do. That's the problem. What the normal person will tell you is well, we need that money for services that we have to provide. But the reason that we have to provide so many services is because we keep regulating those services that cost that money.
Yes.
That's what government does. It regulates those services.
So let's
just stop that.
So let's say you get 3 bills you can pass right now. No resistance. All 3 will be passed. What 3 are you immediately pushing out there?
I'd have to say property taxes, and we'll be working on. We have 5 bills we're going to be working on in Johnson County. We worked on 5 bills last year. We got 3 of those that went through the state legislation. So we're going to be working. Home rule's a biggie for me, and I know that doesn't mean a whole lot to the average person.
What does it mean?
It means we have control of our local area. That the state isn't taking and mandating us to do things. And
unfunded mandates, no less.
And a lot of them unfunded. But just the fact that they aren't here, they don't live next door to the person that I'm making decisions for. I do.
Yeah.
Those people end up on my front porch when I make a decision. The state doesn't have to worry about that. The legislators don't have to worry about it. Let us do our jobs. If you don't think we're doing our jobs properly, let's talk about it. Let's sit down and talk about it. Don't mandate what we have to do. Property taxes, I'm telling you, that's a mandate. Don't mandate us. This could have all been worked out if we would have just sat down and we would have talked about this. We could have figured out a way because
so they didn't listen.
Sensible people would have come forward. For the most part,
by and large.
For the most part, no.
Well, let's talk. You mentioned earlier that 78%, correct, go to schools.
That's of Johnson County, of what I've seen in my taxes.
Then who? And this is where I'm going to talk to the people that are listening and everything. How important is, if you want to get involved, one of the most important things that we downplay, we don't talk about, that you can run for is school board. Because you essentially, 78% of the property tax that is passed back down to you by the state goes to the school system. And those decisions are made by 5 people on that school board,
yes, sir,
that nobody pays attention to. That, I'll be honest with you, some of the people that have been elected to the school boards are, dude, I don't think they could get through the school.
Didn't they
today.
just say that the school board has to say what their party affiliation is?
Yes,
that's
they just
brand new.
that.
That's brand new.
But you have 5 people that just won a microcosm of a little popularity contest based off of no credentials, no nothing, and they're making decisions based off of 7-figure budgets, sometimes 8-figure budgets,
most money, yeah,
up to 9-figure budgets. They're making these. So I've said all along, because the schools are always complaining they don't have enough money. They don't have enough. I don't think they have a funding problem. I think they have a spending problem.
Yes,
They have a spending problem. You got teachers, and I'm not going to argue, some of the teachers, especially entry-level teachers that just get there, they're not making a whole lot of money. But some of those teachers make a lot more money and still cry poor, which I'm not on board with. And I know that's so unpopular to talk about. But let's talk math. Yeah. You're a math teacher. Let's talk
Why do our
math.
kids suck at reading?
You know, what are you making per hour?
Yeah.
But with that said, we've got administrators and superintendents that make really good money. Yep. We do not have we don't have a funding problem. We have a massive spending problem in these schools because we literally have people in charge of where what gets spent that don't know, and I'm gonna just be frank, don't know their asshole from their elbow.
You know what was the scariest thing for a lot of these school board members in schools, the whatever school areas, was COVID. Because you had millions of parents figured out I could do this shit from home.
Yeah.
I don't need to send you there and deal with all this nonsense.
Why am I paying for this big Taj Mahal school that you guys want to put a placard with your name on it?
But you want to teach my kids Marxist socialist stuff. You want to teach my kids this anti-religious stuff. You want to teach my kids all these other things that I don't believe in. I just want you to teach my kids math and science. And you're throwing them all this propaganda. Am I just better off just doing it my damn self?
So I just threw a lot out there. Remark on whatever the hell that you pulled from that.
I think what we need to do is we need to look at the school's budgets, and someone has to have some oversight on that.
There's no oversight.
Besides the school board. Same way with township trustees, and we can talk about that.
Oh, we want to get into that.
But let's finish up with the school here while it's on my mind and my heart. We need to look at what the money's being spent for. We have a problem in this state that we are very, very low on the educational chain.
Right.
But we're very, very well done on the extracurricular activities in the state of Indiana. Football, sports.
We talked about the collegiate level.
Everywhere. It's going that way. look at the budgets and where the percentage of the funds are being used. Are they being used on educating your child, or are they being used on your child getting a scholarship to go play football or basketball or something somewhere else?
Coming from a former athlete.
Where are we spending our money? Back then, they didn't spend the money. I mean, I played on a field that the turf was all rock. When you hit the ground, it hurt. You didn't have all this.
I bet you ran with that ball a lot faster, though.
You stayed upright a lot better, too.
Yeah.
Seriously. But I'm
Where's
just
the
saying,
sideline?
let's look at it. I sent my kids to private schools. I didn't use the public school system. Well, the last 2 years, my son did. And he went to Indian Creek, just so you know, and a good school. My daughter taught at Southwestern, is where my daughter taught, which is another good school in the state. But just so we understand, I wanted their focus to be on education. I didn't want their focus to be on extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
And the extracurricular activities they were having were activities that I really agreed with anyway. If we want to have extracurricular activities, why don't we have a fellowship of Christian athletes that's stronger? Why don't we have the Bible in the school where we can teach our kids the important things in life and biblical?
Because they want you to worship the government.
And that's the problem. And that's where I'm saying we have to have some oversight on that. But we have to be careful who has that oversight, because we could be making the issue worse than
Very
what it is.
slippery
Well,
slope.
something that popped up
In Indiana, a little different, but imagine if we lived in a state where Dems could just next time just make it 9-0 their way.
Well, and I'm not trying to infringe on anybody's beliefs.
or the other people.
Right, yeah. I mean,
don't
anything. I mean, listen, I'm a Trump guy, but he has set some dangerous precedent.
Yes, he has.
Which says, okay, the next liberal wins, we're taking all these plaques, we're going to put up new plaques, we're going to put new quotes, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it's like, I can't really say anything because my guy did that.
Well, and I would also say that, they definitely want to take over the House. And my problem with it, they're going to take over the House. We're going to have his last 2 years, he's impeach. All they're going to do is impeach. And what he's going to do, he's going to take a page from Obama's book, and he's going to executive order everything.
EO it all.
And that's not good for our country, and I don't want him to do that. But I think we can past precedents predicts future performance. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you, example, it was all over the news a few months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't know. I've been hitting the head. I can't remember timestamps. But there is the transgender flag hangs in the window and has for years of a classroom in Center Grove, very prominent out. You can see it from the street out in front of Center Grove High School. And okay, I'm not going to go deep in the weeds why I don't think that should be there. I don't. But heaven forbid the teacher in the next classroom hung up the Christian flag.
Yeah.
Oh, their heads would explode.
That happened with the Don't Tread on Me flag.
How the hell could you? Well, apparently that's racist now because everything's freaking racist now. How the hell can they hang up that divisive symbol and then argue about another one? It's beyond me, but that's where you have no oversight, no control, no nothing. There was official complaints registered to the school board there, and
Well, the reality is that most white people are scared of anything that infringes even closely to anybody that agrees with me or disagrees with me from another race.
The racist term is thrown on everybody, and everybody's paranoid to be called a racist. Heaven forbid.
That's it.
I freak out.
That's
Dude,
it.
I take a lot of pride.
I think if you call somebody else a racist, that says a lot about you.
When you go into a coffee
general.
shop and they're like, "What kind of coffee?" You're like, "I'm like black." I
say
would like black coffee.
I say African American.
Yeah, you'd say African American coffee. Ethiopian is actually good coffee. Anyway,
I like
all
my
right.
coffee African American with a little bit of Pamela Anderson. What's that mean? Just a little bit of cream. Just
There's a little bit of cream. So a little bit. She's sweet. A little bit of sugar.
Well, and let's just understand, I come from
very Pamela Anderson family.
a belief system. I come from a belief system that's based on biblical principles.
right.
Everyone has the right to live their life as they desire to live their life. As long as that doesn't affect the other people that it's not intended to affect.
Agreed.
And there's where we have the problem. And not only this day is it doing that, it's creating divisiveness, which is creating violence today.
Yep.
Our problem is not what people are doing. Our problem is the violence that has been created from that.
So we have said multiple times, the problem is you get these media personalities, and we joke, we like to have fun, but you notice we haven't really talked divisive or incendiary language. That's not who we are. We'll crack jokes, we'll talk a little bit of crap, we'll roast each other, we'll roast libs, we'll roast whoever. But you get these people that say, fascist, Nazi, he's Hitler, he's this, he's that. And the problem with that is the 5% fringes, and they're on both sides. Don't get me wrong, right? There's 5% weirdos on the right, 5% weirdos on the left. That's who hears this language. And that's who goes out and thinks they're killing Hitler. That's who goes out and thinks they're doing us all a favor by trying to kill President Trump. And it's like, that language has got to stop.
And that is growing and spreading, that culture. And that's a culture. It's not a religion. It's not a basis for the way somebody wants to be. It's
they put the cult in culture.
Yeah.
But on both sides.
But
I'm not here to point finger.
But it is culture. We have to look at the different cultures that we meld into in this country that we call America and in the United States. We are united, and those cultures need to be existent in the way they are. As long as those cultures don't expect any different rights or I guess permissions than anybody else.
You ain't special.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not special.
Yep. In my America, the America that I thought I was raised in, right? My mom came here because of America.
Right.
Like, you get to do you, I get to do me, and the moments we come together, we both be cool, but you can do you and I do me, and we leave each other alone.
Your freedom ends where mine begins.
That's it.
And we agree to disagree, and we do it on a...
And I don't have to like you, who cares?
Non-biased basis. We do it that we just agree to disagree, which is the way it used to be. I could debate with someone and have a nice, calm debate, talk about it, and not worry about somebody pulling out a gun and shooting me.
Well, it's even, I can absolutely disagree with you. I can think you're a horrible human being for thinking the way you think, but I'm not praying for your ruination and trying to do anything and everything to assist the fact that you're ruined.
Yeah, but what happens when I've been told that you're Hitler for 7 years? I've been told by our media, not by some wacko dark site. You have been indoctrinated with this nonsense.
You are the darkest looking Hitler I've ever seen.
But I'm just saying, you're indoctrinated with that nonsense. And like once again, the three of us can sit here and go, well, nobody should ever talk like that. That's wrong. No, nobody doesn't care about their constituents. That's just hyperbole. But there are 5% on both sides that are idiots that are going to go, I'm going to do the country a favor. I'm going to kill Charlie Kirk because he's a fascist, racist Nazi. And it's like, no, dude. As a matter of fact, the people that are saying that to each other will attend Jimmy Carter's funeral and sit by each other and hang out.
Yeah. And here's what in fact, we talked about this at Church Sunday, because I come from a very conservative church, but also a free-speaking church that, we study the Bible biblically. And we have to remember that this earth was destroyed as it was previously, not over people sinning. It was over the violence that God saw that was on this earth. And that's what I tell people. We look at Sodom and Gomorrah, and we call it fornication, we call it all kinds of different things.
Call that the U.S.
Yeah, but it was
kind of.
It was violence. It was
violence is what.
And where are we at today?
Yeah. I mean, we're there.
We're much more violent.
Well, I've said that for years,
and that's what's going to destroy.
Much more violent, or we're very much Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's
here
what's
in the
going to
US,
destroy.
Where the we have, say what you want. I don't care, but to me, the church is supposed to be the truth. And I'm not saying the Pope is perfect. A lot of people like saying the Pope's a man. He's not my example. My example is Jesus.
Yes, he
okay,
is.
It's not Pope.
The current Pope should be like the allegedly original Pope, more like Peter.
But they all have their own issues, right? And it's like when you look back biblically and you look now, it's like, man, the U.S. is doing everything wrong.
Well, I love what you said about the violence, because I've said for years, it's biblically it says homosexuality is wrong. However, I have a lot of friends that are homosexuals.
Sure.
And I believe all sins are equal in the eyes of the Lord, except for blasphemy to Him. Blasphemy to Him is a little bit higher, right?
Yeah.
But
all unforgivable.
So we have this top 10 list. It's called the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps through what they've gleaned from the Bible, that their pet peeve that they want to put to the forefront of sin.
But none of us are.
And homosexuals. I'm like, you can't figure out one of the top 10, but you want to add 11.
Listen, man, none of us are undefeated on the top 10, though.
No.
None of us are undefeated. None of us are like, you know what? The top 10? I ain't never done none of those.
You can't figure out any of those.
We've all done those. We probably have done some of those today.
But the thing is
I haven't murdered in a long time.
I think if he was going to find bigger issue with, would he have more issue with that sin? And I'm going to use homosexuality as an example. Would he have more example with that sin or someone else who perpetuates absolute hatred, evil, and ruin on that individual for that sin? So all of us are his children, right? We're all his children. So what do you think he has more issue with? Somebody who's, I'll just say, confused? Or someone that is absolutely projecting hatred on another one of his children? I think he's going to have more issue with
I will
that.
say this as a Catholic boy: the moment you know better, then you start being responsible.
Yeah.
You're accountable to it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
I don't think, I think they're wrong for their behavior, biblically.
Sure.
But I don't want to say more wrong, but I feel like it's more wrong for me to project hatred.
But doesn't
towards
that lead us to a whole nother question, right? So, separation of church and state's huge. That's what we kind of hang our hats on, right? Now, we both have deployed to countries where church is the state.
Right.
Right?
There's a lot
So
of
if we
nations.
start making laws based off the Bible, then how are we any different than Afghanistan? How are we any different than Iraq?
Well,
Go ahead.
Can I
You got it.
yeah,
You got it.
100%.
and can I promote my own?
You can promote whatever you
Actually,
want.
we always set a time for you to promote all your
But you're
stuff.
going to do
throw
it
in there.
right now.
Well, just
Throw
real
it all in there.
Let's
Just
get
real
it.
quick. You talked about the law. You talked about the Ten Commandments, which is the law.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
law.
And Christ came to
God's law.
Christ came to fulfill that law, not to destroy that law.
Correct.
But the law was put in place for us to understand why we can't fulfill the law.
Right.
And
We're
that's
supposed
why
to fail.
We're going to fail. The only reason that we don't fail is because God sent His only begotten Son to save us from that, who had to be God, who had to be 100% man, because it had to be man that made the sacrifice for those sins. The blood had to be drawn for that, and that's why we talk about the blood of Christ. And what I want to say is we can talk about the law and the Ten Commandments, as you said, the homosexuality and the adultery and all that's in the law, but we know we can't live by that law.
Pretty hard.
Yeah.
That's why we have to have Christ for us.
His grace.
So my comment on that is the law a blessing or is the law a curse? And that's why I want to tell you to go to Truth is Truth podcast, because I have a podcast on the law, blessing or curse, and it explains what the law was for. Do I believe in the Ten Commandments, and do I think that that is a great gauge for us to understand who we are? Yes, I do. Do I think in any way, shape, or form that I can follow the Ten Commandments? Absolutely
He's got to
not.
go. Hey, he's got to go 10-0.
The day that I say I can, I'm a liar.
It's a problem. Yeah.
You just failed the third.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
failed. So, honor your mother and father. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Make God the only God there is.
Right.
No other God before
Yeah.
me. Anybody else here in this room haven't done that in their lives?
Right.
I
Government
sure
money.
haven't done it.
Yeah.
My
absolutely.
13-year-old girlfriend,
Yeah, I
when I was in 8th grade, she was God.
and I haven't. I can say that. I have not lived that
She was-
life
she was there.
that could get me.
We're supposed to fail.
Her name was Melissa.
We're
So-
set up to fail, and
love you.
just to show us that the only way we're going to get there is through His gift of grace,
And that's it. And that's the only way.
and you need to acknowledge it.
But I'm saying that.
But we can fix a lot of things by people thinking like
the
that.
same grace that we expect from God, though. I think we got to give to each other,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
My whole point.
It's very
to that-
easy. It's very easy for me to look at you and go, "You're fucking up," and without going, "Okay, I'm adultering. I'm this.
Yep.
I'm not being the best parent I am. I have an addiction problem. I have a gambling problem. I do this. I'm not the best employee." And like we don't look at our own shadow. It's very easy.
Jesus gave us that.
That's it.
He gave us the commandment. Jesus gave us the commandment: love one another
Yeah.
as I have loved you.
Exactly, and that's my point. My point.
You
and
can love someone and hate
I
their
use
sin.
homosexuality as just an arbitrary example, whereas
You're a homophobe.
we get so caught up on that we commit sin in our
In our own heart.
effort.
But doesn't the sin
to
come
combat
from
it.
judging somebody else's sin?
Yeah, I mean, I think
No, no,
you can judge.
listen, let me tell you this.
We
much.
can
Let
judge.
me-
We're just
I'm gonna,
not
I'm
allowed
going
to
to tell you
condemn.
this much, and this is my.
We're to discern the truth.
If we're told that we are born or we are created in God's image or Jesus' image, God's image, I don't think he's as uptight as everybody thinks that he is. He's got to understand the human persona.
Well,
He is a guy.
Well, he understands it because he
Hey,
created
listen,
it.
let me tell you this.
and
much.
he sees it all the way through.
He knows the ending already.
Yes.
All right, so let's imagine there's a guy. He's super cool. And you show up to a party, there's a bunch of people, and he turns water into wine. That sounds like a guy I want to hang out with. Doesn't sound like a guy making more water. Doesn't sound like a guy making more fish.
Well,
he's like,
he
hey,
fed us, he
Zinfandel for everybody.
And if that's what your love is, or what your idea of Christ is,
He's accepting.
As long as that
He's accepting.
as long as that brings you to
That's
Him,
it.
I don't care.
Listen, as a young Catholic boy, I was never good enough for God. And now I know, like, God's favorite people were the ones that figured out they weren't perfect and then got it right. He surrounded himself with people who needed nothing but forgiveness, nothing but grace. People who thought they were like forgotten. That was his crew.
Yeah.
And I think
And they
that's
ended up being the
thing.
biggest believers in the world.
The ability,
And they
the
did.
ability,
My middle name's Lazarus. You know who that is? That's Jesus' best friend. One of his last miracles.
the ability to
For real.
the ability,
Also the
you know,
Bible story.
and I'll tell you that I think the biggest thing I struggle with in my entire life is my ability to forgive others that have wronged me, or whatever, or forgive them for, and I have to work on that to this day, and the ability to forgive others and just to not condemn that, and I think that's rooted in humility, you know, and that's just that's my personal biggest challenge my entire life, you know, and it's a sin. And I know it. And so who am I to cast judgment and try to condemn others when I'm like, dude, I got my own problems.
You're a stupid human. Keep in check.
All we can do is tell people the truth.
The truth.
So what
That's
is?
all we can do.
We have new session coming up. We have a new year coming up. We like to ask people this: do you believe in New Year's resolutions? And if so, what are they? And if you don't believe in some, what are two things you think you want to work on?
I think
We're always working on everything.
I'm not a New Year's resolution guy. I've just found I've never been able to keep that, because it usually involves eating, drinking,
Working out.
and
Some you don't want to do anyway. Yeah.
well, and I work out every day now. It's hard to work out anymore. I just do that to survive, so I can get up and not be sore and limp everywhere I go. But anyway, I think that for me in the new year is to try to figure out a way to help people understand more of what needs to be done to make things sensible. And that can be done in a lot of different ways, but the biggest way we can do that is by showing people who we are, to make them understand where we want to be and where we want to go. Give people a future that they can look at us and say, I like that. You know, that's somebody's vision. You know, I'm looking 20, 25 years into the future. I'm not looking at 5 years in the future.
It's not about you.
Because if I'm thinking about me, I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking 20 years,
What can I get right
I'm
now?
thinking about my kids.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
and
my
you know what?
grandkids.
But that's more important.
It is, and that's what we have to understand. Our generations have to be raised and shown a direction that they're not being shown today.
Yep.
And the only way to get that done is we have to put ourselves out there and make it known to them who we are, and not only make it known to them who we are, show them who we are by our actions and by what we do and how we decide and make decisions.
All right, so we're going to let you have the last word of 2025. You
Yep.
ready?
And gratuitously plug all your efforts,
No,
everything you got
yeah,
going on.
yeah, definitely plug everything. But more so than that, what is the one thought that everybody watching this could just, try to implement in their life?
Seek and know the truth. And whatever that truth and that knowledge is to you, test it against what God always created us to be. And if we do that, the violence goes away. A lot of things go to a different direction. But again, we have to show people that, and we have to tell people that truth. If we're not telling the truth, I mean, what's the biggest thing most people say about a politician?
They lie all the time.
Yeah, that's part of it.
They all lie.
That's not always true in a lot of people's lives. And is it easier to lie? Yes, it is. But the truth not only is hard, the truth also shows what kind of resilience you have. Don't be afraid to tell that truth. And don't be afraid to speak to people and tell people what you think. But in that, accept their response to that as not divisive and or violent to you. Expect it to be remedial. Expect it to be okay to have an opinion. And that's what I tell people. I want your opinion. I may not agree with that opinion, but
People died for you to have it.
I will listen to that
Yeah.
opinion.
But you won't know if you agree with it or disagree with it until you hear it.
But I tell people all the time, if you're scared to say how you feel, then people died for no reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Period.
And
I died for the person that wants to disagree with all three of us.
My theme for the year last year as president of the Indiana County Commissioners was listening, success through communication and collaboration. And I believe that totally in my heart. God gave that to me one evening when I was asleep and woke up and wrote it down. But
Say
I
it
believe
again.
in that. Listening, success through communication and collaboration.
Yep.
You have to listen. The first thing we have to do in life is listen. Listen to what people are talking to you about. Listen to what they're saying to you. Then communicate with them in what you heard. And once you communicate in what you heard with them, you have to collaborate with them to come to an agreement that you both can live with.
There it is. That's it.
Have you found, I feel like I found this, not all, most people that we get into these arguments, especially politically and philosophically, we're all trying to get to the same right place. We're just coming from a different direction, a different vantage point. And how many times have you had a conversation with somebody who's like, you know what? I may not agree with you, but I do now have a deep understanding of how you've come to that conclusion from your background, where you're from, who you are, and it makes total sense to me. I'm not going to agree with you, but what I want to do is I want to work with you to get there. We're both trying to get there. Does that make sense?
And I think just the knowledge that they know you're truly listening to them, that's what they wanted in the first place.
Everybody wants to be heard.
They're not necessarily trying to give you an answer or a reason. They're trying to understand where you're at.
Yeah.
And if we don't listen to them, we'll never know what that is. And it just works to be that way. And I'm trying to visit every county in the state this year. I think we've been to, I'm going to say 40 or 42 now.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, we're getting there. And I'm going to continue next year to go visit with commissioners in every county. I want to sit down with them. I want to hear what they're doing. I want to hear how they're doing and getting to where they're going. And then I want to be able to relate that to commissioners all over the state. Here's something that can work for you. Let's talk about this, let's communicate this, and let's fix this, and then go those directions. That's important to, I think, government as a whole, but more important to the taxpayers and the citizens of those local areas. It's important for them to know and understand where their leadership is.
I mean, even just like you just said, though, like you said, keep talking to each other, keep talking. I think that regardless of who you support politically, if we all just talked, we'd only disagree on 3 or 4 things. The rest of us, we agree on everything. Now, the loudest voices in the room, those are the ones that usually are you put on the news and everything else. The J6 storm the Capitol group and the blue-haired weirdos that are doing like that's who's up front. But the vast majority of us are just left or right of center, just a little bit.
A lot of the time, it's hey, there we go, we blew it.
Buckets.
The lights just turned out.
Most of the time,
I knew I should have paid the rent. I should have paid the light bill.
The people we're hearing from or the minority. We're not hearing from the people. The majority are usually quiet.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it operates sometimes. But I tell people when I became commissioner, the first thing I lost was the R or D or the L or the I behind my name.
You represent everybody now.
I became a person that my job is to listen to everybody, reason with everybody, and come to a good reasoning of who that is.
I want everybody to be less R&D and be more P, pragmatic. And listen, and then so really quick before we sign off on this, I want you to
that's the longest podcast I've ever been on.
There it is.
But you've got 2 podcasts that you cut walk point on. One I think is essential for life, and the other is essential for being a Hoosier. So
Understanding
again, share those 2 with our listeners, and then we will post those. You give me those links. I'll post those links when this goes live.
Well, my daughter will have to do that.
Well, that's fine.
All I do is record the podcast.
You got my number.
There they go.
So.
She produces them, puts them on. Truth is Truth podcast, and it's all one word. Truth is Truth podcast. If you go just Truth is Truth, you're going to get a really weird podcast. So Truth is Truth podcast. It's on Spotify, Facebook, Anchor, whatever all those are.
Gotcha.
And then ICC, if you go to the Indiana County Commissioner's website, you can go to our podcast, and we're talking to, we've had Elise Nishala on there, we've had Dr. Weaver on there, we've had Roderick Bray on there, we've had the previous president of the ICC on there, and the new incoming president on there. That'll just give you an in-depth look at what's going on in local government, which hopefully will educate a lot of people in the way that local government is and what it does.
Our guest this week,
yes,
Johnson County.
You're officially one of those ashholes. There you go,
Brian Baird.
Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for the just absolutely generously open conversation.
We got smarter.
Yeah, we got educated.
We did get smarter.
I'm glad somebody did.
I'll give that to you.
I don't get smart very often. Love to come back and talk to you about township trustees, and
And
Well,
why
we definitely
township should go away.
we'll talk about
Next
that.
Yes.
up with Brian Baird
Yeah,
for
we'll talk
part
about
two.
Part two.
If you
It's
want to
gonna
do
happen.
that, I'd be happy to do that.
We're gonna do it. We are doing it.
We are
We're
doing
doing
it.
it.
So
We're doing it.
I'm there.
Hey, I hope,
All right,
hope
guys.
you have a great New Year.
Thank you much. Appreciate both
Thank
of you.
you.